Let me assure you that this case will continue on against anyone who was complicit with Epstein. Any co-conspirators should not rest easy. The victims deserve justice, and they will get it.
That was former Attorney General Bill Barr in 2019, 2 days after convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell. And Barr was right about one thing. The case continues on. Today, he's the one answering questions. Barr called to Capitol Hill for a deposition by the House Oversight Committee, set to speak under oath this morning about what he knows about Epstein's death and the files long shrouded in secrecy. Joining us now, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Sahil Kapoor and former federal prosecutor Ankush Khardori, a senior writer for Politico magazine. Sahil, first to you, it's all happening behind closed doors today. That's typically how these kinds of deposition goes. But any sense from sources of what's come of this so far?
Well, Ali, we believe William Barr is still in there, and he arrived a little bit before his official start time of 9:30. We don't know exactly what they're saying, of course, but I just got off the phone with a source familiar with his deposition who said in the room are Democratic and Republican committee staff, as well as 3 lawmakers, the Democrats Jasmine Crockett and Suhas Subramanian, who are on the committee, and, of course, the Republican chairman James Comer. Now, before this began, Comer was asked about the bigger subpoena, the deadline that's landing tomorrow for the Justice Department and AG Pam Bondi to release a whole bunch of documents regarding the Epstein matter. Take a listen to what Comer said about that.
We're having really good conversations. You have to understand how many, you can imagine how many documents there are. I think that we're going to have I think we'll receive the documents very soon. They're compiling everything together. I think we're working together in a good faith effort, and everything's coming along. I expect to receive the documents very, very soon.
A little bit of daylight there, Ali, on exact timing, but he does expect to still receive the documents. And finally, I'm told by this source that the transcript of these interviews can be released by Republicans under the rules of the committee after they consult with Democrats.
Can be released. Unclear that they will do that, but certainly something new to ask about. Ankush, what relevant information might Barr actually share here?
You know, I don't think Barr has much to offer this particular investigation, right? And he was the attorney general during the arrest, and then when Epstein passed away, committed suicide. So, I mean, what is he going to be able to talk about at the high level, the charging decision, perhaps, and what sort of investigation followed after Epstein's death? But it's very limited. I mean, honestly, you know, if you look at the investigation that Comer is overseeing and the list of people he's chosen to question, it's almost entirely backwards. But the investigation is almost entirely backwards. It's
missing one of the most important names in Alex Acosta.
It's missing a bunch of other people, too, though. Yeah, that's a very good point, right? The U.S. attorney who negotiated the non-prosecution deal, Alex Acosta, absolutely want to talk to him. But, you know, there are 2 issues, I think, on Americans' minds at this particular moment. One is what was the review that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel conducted, and what did it actually generate? And 2, and this is in poll numbers, what is Trump's involvement and what are the references to him in the documents? Yeah. If you are going to answer those questions, the people you want to speak to in no particular order are Trump, Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, Deputy Director Dan Bongino, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. These are the people you would actually be speaking to, putting under oath, maybe even televising that questioning in order to give the American public the answers that I think that they really want at this point in time.
You referenced the report that DOJ did, which really, frankly, touched off a lot of this here. They found, in their words, no incriminating client list, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and they concluded Epstein died by suicide as first reported. By moving forward with the investigation here, is the House committee effectively saying, thank you so much for that, we don't buy it?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think that there's been so much flailing around, to be honest, on the part of the Justice Department, you know, going to get these more or less useless grand jury transcripts, which they're failing to do, but the judges are saying they're useless, trying to negotiate something with Ghislaine Maxwell, one of the world's worst people on the planet. And then you have Comer and the House Republicans, I think, kind of trying to run interference a little bit, perhaps on the White House's behalf. And all of these things provide the appearance of an investigation or some forward momentum, but it's really an illusion because they're not actually addressing the questions that are on Americans' minds at this moment.
Yeah, I think, and Sahil, we bring up Ghislaine Maxwell here. She's someone that the House committees have said maybe they want to hear from. The Speaker of the House has been one of the first and loudest voices saying, I don't really believe her. She has credibility problems. But it does speak to the fact that this is really just round 1 of some extremely high-profile depositions. ahead in the House investigation. What actually comes next here? And can you talk about the balancing act that, frankly, Republicans on this committee are doing as they try to show that they're doing something, but really they're not pushing for the central thing, which is just release the files?
Absolutely, Ali. So there's William Barr today. There's the DOJ and Pam Bondi subpoena for a whole bunch of information tomorrow. Then later in August, we're expecting subpoenas for depositions and document requests from former AGs Alberto Gonzalez and Jeff Sessions. Remember, this goes all the way back to 2006 when Jeffrey Epstein was first indicted. In September and October, they've asked former AGs Lynch, Holder, Garland, as well as former FBI directors Robert Mueller and James Comey to testify. And finally, Hillary and Bill Clinton. Now, it's not clear whether all of these meetings will actually happen or whether the dates will get moved around. But this was the chairman's request before Congress left town. Remember, he was essentially forced to do this by committee members, several Republicans who teamed up with Democrats and said, yes, we want the Epstein files. We're not simply going to let the Trump administration skate on this. And at the before issuing these subpoenas, or rather while issuing these subpoenas, Comer added on a whole bunch of names, including some like Bill and Hillary Clinton, who have been, let's say, highly interesting to the MAGA audience.
Yeah. Interesting to the MAGA audience and potentially a way for Republicans on that committee to say, see, look, we're voting for transparency, but we're doing it by going after Democrats, even though it puts them crosswise with the White House and with the president, which are the very people that pushed this conspiracy and kept it alive over all of these years in the first place. But as demand grows for unsealing the grand jury testimony in the Epstein files, that's one of the other pieces of this. Ankush, you've said that these transcripts likely represent just a sliver of the information that the government actually has in its possession. Why?
Because when federal prosecutors charge cases through grand juries, they typically present one or two witnesses who are agents who have overseen and conducted the investigation to summarize the allegations and the evidence in the indictment, and that they intend to produce a trial. So what that means is you're not going to put much more information into a grand jury than you actually see at the trial. And in fact, a judge in New York recently confirmed this, issuing an opinion on the DOJ's, and they've gone to multiple judges, but the most recent judge in New York issued an opinion, it was actually a fairly scathing opinion, actually, saying that the Justice Department had effectively misled the public by suggesting that the grand jury transcripts that this judge had available to him would tell them anything meaningful. And the judge over and over and over again says, this is not true, this is an illusion, and there's no there. I think that's a quote from the opinion.